Good afternoon. It's 3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for the news. I'm Shina Adel and I'm joined by my colleague Maiz Rabia. Good afternoon, Maiz.
Good afternoon, Shireen. Good afternoon, our dear viewers. And we'll start our news bulletin with the headlines.
Welcome back. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Expatriate Affairs, Badr Abdelati, said Egypt and Somalia agreed on supporting political solutions to deal with regional crises. Addressing a press conference with visiting Somali Foreign Minister Ahmed Muallim Fiqi following talks on Monday, Abdelati said talks also tackled enhancing strategic relations between Egypt and the Horn of Africa country. The top diplomat added that he and his Somali counterpart asserted mutual interest on developing relations across different fields in a way that meets aspirations of the two sisterly countries. For his part, Somali Foreign Minister appreciated deep brotherly relations between Egypt and Somalia, especially at a time when the region is witnessing unprecedented challenges.
16 Palestinians were killed and others were wounded in Israeli air attacks across the Gaza Strip on Monday morning. 4 of the killed were killed in the shelling of the new camp northwest of the center of Gaza, Nusayrat camp. Another one was killed after Israeli occupation troops fired shots at a school sheltering displaced people nearby.
Meanwhile, Palestinian resistance group Hamas said its military wing carried out an ambush against Israeli occupation forces, which have been launching a ground incursion in northern Gaza since October. It said its fighters also fired projectiles at invading Israeli forces, asserting their operation caused casualties among the invaders.
Scores of Israeli settlers stormed into Jerusalem's holy mosque of Al-Aqsa from El Maghariba Gate. They also carried out provocative rounds inside the open course of the compound and performed Talmudic rituals heavily guarded by Israeli occupation forces. Occupation police also summoned 7 of the mosque Muslim guards for investigations. Jewish extremists from the so-called temple groups has called for expanded incursion into the mosque compound during a Jewish feast on the 25th of this month.
And the Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi met with the Syrian armed factions leader Ahmed al-Shara in Damascus on Monday. Images distributed by the Jordanian Foreign Ministry showed Safadi and Shara shaking hands without offering further details about the meeting. A Foreign Ministry statement earlier said that Safadi would meet with the new Syrian leader as well as with several Syrian officials. Jordan hosted a summit earlier this month where top Arab, Turkish, EU and US diplomats called for an inclusive and peaceful transition after President Bashar al-Assad quitted Damascus on December 8th. Shara is the leader of group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham that spearheaded an offensive that led to Assad's departure.
Qatar's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs arrived in Damascus on Monday on the first Qatar Airways flight to the Syrian capital since the fall of President Bashar al-Assad 2 weeks ago. Doha's foreign ministry said that Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson that Mohammed al-Khalifi was the most senior official of the Gulf Arab state to visit Syria since the rebels toppled the al-Assad family's 54-year-long rule.
And the Russian delegation arrived in Tehran for a visit that includes a meeting with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian as the two countries prepare to sign a comprehensive cooperation agreement. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said that Iran and Russia have been working on setting a date to complete an agreement, adding that the deal is set to be signed during bilateral visit in January. Russia has cultivated closer ties with Iran and other countries hostile towards the United States, such as North Korea, since the start of the military operation in Ukraine.
Ukraine Air Forces said on Monday it had shot down 47 out of 72 Russia-launched drones across the country, while 25 more failed to reach targets. It said in a statement that the military repelled attacks in 9 regions, including Kiev region surrounding Ukraine's capital. According to the Air Force, unidentified private entities and houses were damaged in the Kiev region and the western region of Kelmenskaya. According to the local authorities, 1 person was injured in the Kelmenskaya region and a power line was damaged in the Kiev region.
And South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said on Monday that more than 1,000 North Korean soldiers have been killed or wounded in Russia's war with Ukraine. According to Seoul, Pyongyang has sent thousands of troops to reinforce the Russian military, including the Kursk border region where Ukrainian forces seized territory earlier this year. Seoul's military noted that North Korea was aiming to modernize its conventional warfare capabilities based on combat experience in the Russia-Ukraine war.
South Korea suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol refused a summon for questioning for the second time after he snubbed a previous one last week. The conservative leader was stripped of his duties by Parliament on the 14th of December after his brief declaration of martial law 11 days earlier, which plunged the country into its worst political crisis in decades.
The Elysee said today that France's new government will not be announced before this evening due to a day of mourning for the victims of the disaster in cyclone hit Mayotte. France will observe National Day of Mourning for the 35 people killed in the Indian Ocean archipelago. François Bayrou was appointed Prime Minister on December 13th after the fall of a short-lived conservative-led government. He's aiming to name a new government by Christmas. French politics has been deadlocked since Macron gambled on snap elections this year. The move backfired with no party or alliance securing a majority.
To the economic news, Deputy Prime Minister for Industrial Developments and Minister of Industry and Transportation Kamil El-Wazir reviewed with the Canadian ambassador to Egypt means to enhance cooperation in the auto industry. The two sides discussed cooperation in the field of renewable energy, with the Minister El-Wazir saying that the Egyptian auto industry is having a push in line with the presidential directives to optimize cooperation with local and foreign private sectors. Minister El-Wazir called on the Canadian companies to increase their investments in Egypt in light of the current promising business atmosphere and the competitiveness advantages in Egypt.
Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation Rania Al-Mashad discussed with the World Bank Regional Director for Egypt, Yemen and Djibouti, Stephanie Gimbert, means to boost bilateral cooperation and increase future projects. Al-Mashad stressed the significance of bilateral cooperation between Egypt and the World Bank in pushing towards economic growth and in focusing on important sectors in the Egyptian economy. She also hailed success between Egypt and the international lender in a number of mega projects implemented over the past period.
Egypt's bourse turned lower at midday transactions amid Arab investors' sell-offs against the local and foreign investors' purchases. The market capital of listed companies added some £4 billion to exceed 2.2 trillion Egyptian pounds amid an average trading of 1.1 billion Egyptian pounds in 2 hours. The benchmark index EGX 30 dipped 0.3% above 30,280 points mark, while the equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 fell 0.6% and 0.5% respectively.
Well, dear viewers, that's all for the news. Thank you for watching. I'm Shina Adel, and I'd like to thank my colleague Mahisi Rabia.
Thank you so much, Shireen. Thank you, our dear viewers, and stay tuned for more news coming up.